Hey everybody, my name is Deja and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about my March TBR. I hope you guys like this background. I have a tapestry on my other wall because I don't have a roommate. So I was like, let's mix it up. Let's film different places in my little like 4x4 cinder block cell.
I just want to stop and say sorry for the background humming. It is the 60-year-old ass fridge microwave combo I have in my dorm. This place is honestly just ghetto.
I'm in the ghetto. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Ah!
But I don't even know what's going on in March. I have so much that I want to read and I'm gonna try and really let myself mood read this month, but I'm gonna tell you guys some options. So none of this is gonna be set in stone. Well, some of it is. I'll tell you about that in a second. Obviously for book clubs and stuff like that. There's really just so many readathons going on and I at least want to participate in 3 of them somewhat. And then I also really want to mood read, as I said, and there's like another one that I kind of want to like do like a little hand in. There's just like a lot, but I have 10 days off of school this month for spring break and I'm not going anywhere. My job is shut down because it is on campus. Sometimes stuff stays open, sometimes it doesn't. So I literally just have 10 days to read. And I'm so excited because 2 of the readathons are happening during that time. So obviously there are some books I have to read this month because I am in book clubs. The first one that I'm obviously going to be talking about is Swim Sisters, which is my romance book club that I host with Nicole from Who Picked This Book. And our February book was Flock by Stewart, and our live show was supposed to be the 6th originally because it's normally the first Sunday of the month. And so I would have probably read it in March anyways, but our live show actually got pushed back till the 2nd weekend of March, which should be the 13th then. I try to do mental math.
The thing with me is that I am smart, and I'm self-smarted, basically, by myself. Basically from nature and smoke and drugs and doing different things, I've self-learned myself.
But Flock, I literally know nothing about. The synopsis doesn't give you anything. It's just like I have secrets and stuff like that, but there's no actual plot. I believe that like Stewart really like focuses on not writing like good male characters, or like they're like anti-heroes, and I believe there's 2 of them in this book. I don't know if it's a reverse harem or a love triangle or what it is, but neither of us really know what this book is about, but y'all voted for it, so that's what we're going to be reading. And for March we had to change our book club pick because there was some discrepancies with the first one that we had, but we went with the second most voted one, and that is Love in the Wild. And I'm really excited for this book. I physically own it, so I'm really thrilled, and I know this is like a Tarzan romance retelling, so I'm really excited about it because it just sounds so good. And I believe I heard about this from Bree from In Love and Words, and I know somebody sent me a physical copy, so thank you to whoever that is. I just don't have it with me currently, so I can't check the note or anything, but Bree from In Love and Words I believe is who I heard this from, and she really loved it, so I'm excited to read it. So our live show for this book should be the 3rd of April, so I might read this book towards the end of the month and maybe finish it up in April, or I might just finish it in March or try to read it all in April. I have no idea. Because there's only 2 days before the live show, I might start it in March. Then for my next book club, Stacks of Strange, our March pick is Extasia by Legrand. I'm really excited for this book, but I've heard such bad reviews. This is like witchy, coven, magic, and I really like Sawkill Girls by Legrand. It's really good. Perfect for like winter time, I think. And this book just has like everything that I could want in it, but I've heard really negative reviews. But this is a more recent release. I think it just came out, so not many people have read it, but from what I've heard, people have not really been liking it, so I'm a little bit scared, but we're all really anticipating this one, so I don't know, hopefully it turns out okay. Then I've been trying to participate in the Buzzwordathon, and I didn't put it in my goals like I did for 2021, but I've been doing it this year, and because it's not a goal, it's been feeling nice to not have pressure. But for March, the buzzword is like something with like a place in the title or location, and this one was really hard because I don't really have any books like that. So when I was looking through the story graph, because you can see what other people put, I decided to go with Stillhouse Lake because there's a lake, and I don't know if the lake is called Stillhouse Lake, but other people put it, so I'm gonna go with it, especially because this book is on my 22 books to read in 2022. I did really bad with my 22 books to read in 2022 as well as my 12 challenge in February, so I'm trying to pick up the slack in March, and this one is on my 22 books to read in 2022. I've been wanting to read it for so long, and as you will see later, I'm in a really big thriller and dark romance mood, and so I'm gonna just go with it. And this one will fit that, hopefully. And then the last like challenge that I set out for myself each month is to read a book of the month pick. And so they have not been released yet as of the day that I'm filming this, but I am on like the spoilers Facebook, so I think I know what books I'm gonna get. And so I know I'm gonna get The Paris Apartment because I really want to try it out, but I don't know when I'm gonna read that. But then I'm also pretty sure the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James is gonna be on there, and I am really anticipating that one. I have not read a Simone St. James before, but I know this has to do with like a true crime blogger, and that just sounds amazing. So I low-key want to read it just because of that. I see Manipulative Murderer. Who doesn't love that? So I might read this book, or if I find some other book of the month pick that I already have backlist that I really want to read, I might read that. But if that is one of the picks, then I'll probably read that this month. I also have a lot of arcs that are coming out in March, and I don't think I'm going to get to all of them because it is like the month that I honestly have the most. So I may just read some of them in April, but I have 4, I think. And so the first one is The Night Shift by Alex Finlay, and I'm super anticipating this thriller. And I am actually going to be a co-host for the Lights Out Book Club for March, and we are going to be reading The Night Shift. So I'm really anticipating this one in general. I really wanted to read it, and now I'm really excited to read it with Sab. It comes out towards the beginning of the month, but I'm going to be putting it off just a little bit because Sab and I are reading it together. Then the next one that I have is A Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar. This one I'm not really in the mood for, so if one of them I don't get to, probably be this one. But I read The Float Plan by Trish Dollar as a arc, and I really enjoyed it, but I did wish it didn't have a happily ever after. So I'm excited to read more of her work because I did really like it, but her books do tend to be really emotional. And then I have Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. I know this book sounded really interesting because it's a fantasy, and normally I don't request these type of books, so it must have sounded really interesting. It says, in the aftermath of World War I, a naive woman is swept into a glittering world filled with dark magic, romance, and murder in the slush and decadent debut. So it had dark magic, romance, and murder, and that had me hooked because I love all 3 of those things. And then the last one that I have is Sundial by Katrina Ward. I've never read a Katrina Ward. I know that everybody loves The Last House on Needley Street, and I'm so upset about that book because if you don't know, I used to work at a Barnes & Noble last summer, and it was like we have like an ARC bin in like the break room, and that was in there, like one of those, and I saw it and I was like, this cover's so ugly, and I never heard of it, so I just put it back and someone else took it, and I regret not getting it so bad because then I could read it anytime that I want. Now I don't have the physical copy, so I'm like, it's not on my mind as much, and I'm just upset that I didn't grab it. But I've heard really good things about this one. It takes place in the Mojave Desert, I believe, and Rain from Bruised Minds love this book, so I'm really excited to get to it and finally read a Katrina Ward. So besides my book club picks, the Buzzwordathon, the book of the month pick, and reading The Night Shift for the Lights Out Book Club, I'm also having a buddy read this month of Priest by Sarah Simone, and this is going to be a buddy read between me and Sarah from Sarah's Shelves. I have been really wanting to get to this one because I actually read a Sarah Simone, that was like one of the first romances that I read, and if you don't know, Sarah Simone writes really smutty, dark, taboo romance, so I don't know why I read it. I think I read it when I was 15 or 16, but it was like one of the first like non-YA romances that I read, and for that to be like the first one, it's just really dark. I read A Lesson in Thorns. I think it was because Chandler Ansley used to have a book club, and that was one of her picks, so I read it for that. And I actually really, really liked it, so I'm excited to get to this one because it's super taboo. It's about a priest who literally breaks his vows by doing the do, like literally on the altar of the church. And Sarah Simone is just great, so I really want to read more of her work, and I'm excited to read it with Sarah. So that in itself is like 6 books for sure, and then arcs. But obviously I want to participate in readathons. So a month-long readathon that's happening is the Tisthedamnreadathon. I'm not a big Swiftie. I actually definitely had Swiftie phases throughout my like childhood now that I look back, but I haven't really actively listened to Taylor Swift in years, probably since maybe middle school. And the only reason that I'm really participating in this is because Jan is hosting it and I want to support Jan. And I believe there is 9 albums, so there's 9 prompts that you have to complete to get like all of the albums. But each different album has 3 prompts you can choose from, and each one has 2 reading prompts and then 1 like bookish prompt, but it's not a reading prompt necessarily. So I'm not really gonna pick books for that yet. I'm just kind of mood read it, and I have some books that I'm going to show you guys that I'm just interested in, but I thought I would go through each album and tell you which prompt I will probably do. So for the Taylor Swift one, I'm probably going to do the Picture to Burn, which is just post a picture of your book on social media, because I don't really want to read a memoir or a book about music right now. So I'm probably going to do that one. For Fearless, I am probably going to read a YA book because Extasia is a YA like horror fantasy. So I'm probably going to just fill that in for that prompt. So for Speak Now, I think I'm going to read a book in a trilogy or the third book in a series. And I have a couple options for this. So the first one is Jade City. This is the first book in a series, and I've been saying that I want to read this, and it's on my 22 books to read in 2022. And even though I'm not really in a fantasy mood, I think having like one fantasy, like pure fantasy throughout the month might be quite nice. So I might read this one, but I also have As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, which is the third book in the trilogy. And I really just want to round off this series. That is something also that I'm trying to do this year, is like finish series, because I should have a video coming sometime this month or in April about all the series that I'm in the middle of. And it's honestly embarrassing. So I just need to finish series. But then they also have Speak Now, which is listen to an audiobook, which I'm definitely going to do as it is. So. And then for Red, I'm probably going to do the Red, which is read a book with Red on the cover. But as I said, I probably want to read this for the trilogy prompt. But I think Flock also has Red on it. This book has Red on it. So there is a couple options that I have. And then for 1989, I am probably going to go with Bad Blood, which is read a book with a morally gray character. Literally, I have so many thrillers, and I believe all of them have morally gray characters in it, and this one will probably have morally gray characters in it too. So it just depends on how I plan out which book I'm going to put for each prompt. But one example that I'm going to have, I think this one does probably have morally gray characters, and that is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. The audiobook for this is coming out this month, so I am going to read this month, I think, and I'm pretty sure this has morally gray characters because someone killed someone. Okay, so I'm assuming this is going to have morally gray characters. Most thrillers do, so yeah, but I'll see once I read the books. For Reputation, there are a couple, and I'm probably going to do read a book that's been recommended, and for that I'm probably going to read one of the books from my 12 challenge, and I'm really wanting to read Her Soul Will Take by Harley LaRue, which is on my 22 books to read in 2022 and on my 12 challenge, and this is a dark romance, and this will play in later as well. So I think I'm going to read this one. For Lover, I'm probably going to do read a 5-star prediction. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this one also has read a book you've had for ages, and most of my books I've had for ages, so I don't know which one I'm going to choose yet, but either one of those two. And then for Folklore, I don't know which one I'm going to go with. I don't really want to do either of these, so I may just do Cardigan, which is wear a cozy outfit / take a cozy picture. And then for Evermore, I'm probably going to just do No Body, No Crime, which is read a mystery or thriller. I'm about to show you a whole bunch of thrillers that I kind of want to read this month, so we'll see which ones I actually get to. So one of them that I have is None Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney, and this is a YA thriller, but it has to do with like these two teenagers who are serial killer survivors, and one's a U.S. Marshal, and they like go around and like interview serial killers or like people who committed crimes their age, and it takes place in the 80s. Who doesn't want that? And I just don't know why, but it feels like this book is like a book that I've been really wanting to read during the winter time, and this is like kind of the end of the winter, so I'm hoping to read this one this month. I've also been like pushing off the audiobook for my library for Ace of Spades. Like it keeps coming in and I keep like pushing it back to like deliver after the next 7 days or something. So hopefully I can get to this one this month. See, and both these have Red on it. I also recently got to The Plot, and I've heard really good things about this one, but I may not get to it, but I really am interested in this one, so hopefully if I just read like 20 books this month, we'll be set. And then also I've noticed that there's a lot of classic thrillers that I have not read, and people are like, oh, if you haven't been spoiled for it, you need to read it. And I haven't really been spoiled for these, so hoping I can get to at least one of them. I have The Silent Patient, which is very divisive, but I want to know what everybody's talking about with this book, so I need to read it. And then I also have Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I also haven't read like The Woman in the Window either, but I know AJ Finn is like really controversial. I own it though, so I may still read it, but Gone Girl I really want to read. And then the last one that I want to mention real quick is Brother by Anya Alborn. I may not read this, but it is a horror and I am really interested in it. It's kind of like The Plot, where like it's not like one that I'm really itching to read this month, but I'm really anticipating both of these, and I think honestly this one might be a 5-star prediction and maybe this one, so it could fit in for one of those prompts as well. So those are just some like thrillers and stuff that I have on my head to read. I'm not going to read all of these, there's no way, but those are just kind of ones that I'm thinking about reading this month. And then the final book support group is having a readathon from the 14th to the 20th of this month, which spans my spring break. My last day of spring break is the 20th, and so I'm not really in the mood for like fantasy or like a lot of the romance series that I've started, but just depending on, I like change moods really quickly, so I may be in the mood for something like that. So I may try and finish just at least like one series. Like there's like, at least I could finish like As Good As Dead. That's a thriller, and I could easily finish that because there's only one book, and I could just finish the series, so that would be lovely. So I just want to kind of like participate a little bit. And I know that weekend, I believe the 19th is the technical day, Sarah from Sarah Shelves and Amanda from Ginger Snap Reads is doing their KU 24-hour readathon that they're doing like every month now.
I am stupid, and as you can obviously see, it is happening the weekend before this is still over my spring break, so I'm literally so hyped, especially cause the readathons don't overlap.
And I'm so happy I can actually participate because it's like during my spring break. So that's what I'm planning to read, a lot more of like my darker romances. I'm really hoping, praying to God, I need to read There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. It's on my 12 challenge and 22 book series in 2022, so it'd be perfect. But I also just really am anticipating it, so I'm hoping to read that one. I could read Her Soul to Take, as I was saying, and then there's just a couple other ones that I'm really interested in. I believe I could read like Flock during this. I believe that's on KU. Honestly, I have like too many options and I just can't think about it, so I'm just gonna see what's going on during that time. And then that is really like all of the readathons that I like want to participate in. I know this was a long TBR, but there's like, I just don't know what I even want to read. So this is hard for me to just do, but I just wanted to give you guys some idea of like my mood right now. But that's all that I have for this video today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye everybody.
Trying to look like you winning. I'm writing rhymes in the kitchen, soaking in moments we live in. Yeah, you got the nerve to be on me, faking your life for the IG. If you got my number, don't add me, cause baby, I'm on hiatus.